Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'm going to be taking a look at the very best cards for GLC from the set Surging Sparks. So, for those of you who don't know, I'll be ranking each type and the new trainers as well. The ranking is, of course, a personal opinion, however, and the main point of the video is to showcase the best new cards for each type. And kicking things off, we have colorless types, which is a wee bit brutal to be honest. This Kixelian is kind of cute, has some very fun artwork. Lick is terrible. Expert Hider can be quite fun, but it is coin flip risky, so it's just going to take one tails and it all falls apart. It's cool that Ambipom now has another Pokemon to play with it, but yeah, aside from that, really nothing that impressive. Still, I thought it was worth an honorable mention. Then we have Graffiti, or Graffiti, however you pronounce it. Has two attacks, Mischievous Painting and Energized Graffiti. Energized Graffiti being the main attack, or the more notable one, I should say. Doing 40 damage for each energy attached to all your opponent's Pokemon, while also. No, I thought it had 40 base for some delusional reason, but no. Just 40 damage for each energy attached to all your opponent's Pokemon. So, can punish high energy acceleration decks like Baxcalibur, I guess, but really, aside from that, it's honestly not doing terrible damage against most things. Like, you'll still be hitting for like 120 most of the time, 160 if you get a bit lucky, but it is for 2 dark energy on a stage 1, so you have to kind of bear that in mind, and your opponent will likely be able to see this coming, but did think it was worth mentioning. But yeah, kind of cool for a monkey though. Then we have some fighting types. This Koraidon seems kind of cool if you're building a GLC deck that's more focused around ancient type attackers. 180 is very respectable. Grapploct over here with Raging Tentacles doing 130, but you can use it for 1 fighting energy if it has any damage counters on it. So, maybe Earthquake deck. There does happen to be a Trapinch, which I believe does 10 damage to each of your bench Pokemon. So there is like ways of getting this out, and doing damage quite early on. If you really want to do it, you can also play something like Potown and then evolve Copperpuss into Grapploct and put 3 damage counters on it that way. If you really wanted to, it seems a bit excessive, but it's there as an option. And then this Passimium, which is kind of a downgrade, honestly, from well, I suppose Flamigo was 20 more damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So Flamigo is your opponent's, Passimium is yours. That's kind of cool, I guess. It's definitely one of the better Passimiums in GLC, I would say. So that's really nice to see. But aside from that, your damage isn't going to be great until you filled up the board. So depending on how easy you find that to be will depend on how good this Passimian is. Then we get to some metal types, and my personal favorite card in the set, maybe, a Alolan Trio. I just love the artwork. So epic. Just look at him bathing in the wind, really. It's just glorious. How's the attack? Trio Chihu, or Trio Chihu? Trio Chio, that's right, yeah. For no energy, does 120, and if you don't have exactly 3 cards in your hand, this attack does nothing. It's okay, right? It's okay. There's definitely going to be turns where you don't want to discard too many supporters or, valuable resources from your hand in order to get down to 3 cards. But aside from that, it seems pretty respectable. Bronzong is flip 2 coins, so, you will need Glimwood Tangle, to reflip them, or like Trick Coin most of the time. But if you can get 2 heads, 200 is respectable for 3 energy. Definitely think it's respectable. Iron Crown's also quite efficient if you're building around basics, and of course, the future mechanic, because Booster Capsule is glorious, plus 20 damage and no retreat. So, yeah, definitely think these are some solid additions. Then we get to fire types, and this Skeledirge is honestly pretty strong. Flaricycle doing 60 and 20 more for each bench Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's. And there's even a new. Wait, why does that say Skeledirge? That is definitely not Skeledirge, that is Victini. So, yeah, Victini has the ability Victory Cheer that says attacks used by your Evolution Fire Pokemon do 10 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So, kind of cool to be honest. Just gives you additional buff if you're planning on building around Skeledirge in this set. But there's other, like, very, very good evolution fire types and bench sitters, really. There's like the Rapidash that increases your damage by plus 30 if you discard a Fire Energy. There's also a. What's it called? Brain, work, please. Ninetales. There we go. Ninetales. To discard Fire G and like gust of a Pokemon. So, there's some cool options for bench sitters. So I definitely think this Skeledirge is worth it. Also got a new Cerulean and Armoruge. I think this Armoruge might be kind of bad, but you do get to do 180 snipe to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Could be useful maybe for sniping a stage 2 bench sitter, I guess. This Cerulean is also quite cool, so we now have a Cerulean GLC. Yay. Well, the fire types at least. For black, Flame Slash doing 160, or Blaze Curse, which can be okay, but aside from that, it's kind of like a mediocre card, I would say. Only consider running this if you're already playing the Armoruge, I would say, but yeah. Also got this Gouging Fire, which can honestly do quite a lot of damage because your opponent at some point in the game will always go below 4 of your prize cards remaining, so 170 is honestly quite nice. So yeah, definitely do like Gouging Fire, and I would definitely say fire types are sitting pretty, with this set. Apart from that mini Skeledirge over there that increases your damage by plus 10. But yeah, grass types, honestly pretty cool as well. Got an execute that can evolve on the first turn, which is pretty big. Unfortunately, there's no Alolan Executor for grass, which is a bit of a shame. Although, actually, no. Having said that, I think there was a grass type Alolan Executor in the Sun and Moon era. But aside from that, it's just Executors, and we've got Barrage Clock. Flip a coin for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. It's stacked as 60 damage for each heads. Definitely got some synergy there with Rillaboom or the Venusaur. We have a Pavilion, which I'm not so sure about Pavilion, to be honest. I mean, it could be cool, I guess. Kind of like act as a forest of giant plants, maybe. That's what it reminds me of, really, is Forest of Giant Plants Pavilion. But it's interesting, though. I thought it was worth mentioning. We've also got this Zarude with Jungle Whip. Can do 160 if you put all the energy from your Pokemon back into your hand. Well, from Zarude, sorry. So that's honestly kind of cool with Cherim because, Rillaboom accelerates it from the deck. Venusaur is just energy that's already attached, so Cherim I would definitely say is the best partner for this Zarude. And then Rabaska does 40 damage, and if there are 3 of your cards in your deck, this attack does 240 instead, which is an awful lot of damage for one grass energy, but you will have to get to 3 of your cards in your deck. How are you going to do that? I'm not sure, to be honest, in grass, because you're not very well known for draw support. I mean, there is stuff like Vespiquen that does more damage for each Pokemon in your discard pile, so maybe there is some synergy out there, but 240 is a lot of damage, right? But yeah, I definitely say Executor is kind of hard carrying grass types in this set, to be honest. But yeah, we've also got some dragon types. Probably won't go into detail into all of these because I don't think there's much of a point in talking about like Dialga and Palkia, really. I just thought they were interesting. Appleton with melting sweetness can be also quite cool, but I'm also aware that there is a current hot crossbone dinosaur that's really good. That does like 50, no, sorry, 70 damage for each special energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon, I believe, which is pretty good. This Eternatus is also okay, and maybe like a, well, I don't want to say a Lost Zone deck, because that's not going to work for Dragon types. How would you accelerate energy with Dragons, really, aside from regular Dragon energy? I'm not sure, actually. Got World's End, though, doing 230 for a Fire Double Dark Energy. Discard a Stadium play. If you can't, this attack does nothing. But hey, 230 is a lot of damage. But yeah, some pretty cool cards overall. I just have absolutely no idea how you'd play any of these, to be honest. They're cool cards, though. Then we have some water types. Again, very, very cool cards. This Walrein especially seems quite nasty. 60 damage for 1 water energy, and during your opponent's next turn, Pokemon with 2 or fewer energy cards cannot attack, which is pretty brutal against decks that don't have great energy acceleration. This Quaxalava can also help with some draw power, but Hydro Splash is not really an attack that you want to use. Iron Bundle can do a lot of damage, but at the same time, it's doing 50 less for each colorless in your opponent's active tree cost, which is a bit rough for modifiers. But yeah. Also got this Chempao, which can remove a stadium when you bench it, and then Azkolu can do 120, which is okay, but some fun reveals though, for sure, and some interesting options. I definitely think Walrein is hard carrying water types this set though. Then we have some lightning types. We do have a Tapu Koko, which can do 180 if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, which does have some good synergy with this new Magneton, which can KO itself and attach 3 basic energy cards from your discard pile to your lightning Pokemon in any way you like. So, if you play the item card Battle Compressor, you can search your deck for 3 lightning energy and discard them, which is great. So, just some nice synergy. I love it when we get this like immediate combo in a set. It's just good for GLC players who are maybe like coming into the game or want to build a deck from one particular set, really. So having that type of Coco Magneton, earlier it was like Victini Skeledirge, here it's Coco Magneton. Seems pretty cool, to be honest. You could even run them again zone if you really want to, but Like why run Magenzone when Magneton's probably like the better option here for the ability, but in case you want to, attack with Magenzone at some point, it's here as an option. Like you could do some very strange things where you still use Magneton, but you like, I don't know, maybe you reset the evolution line with a Super Rod and Rare Candy and get there eventually with Magenzone. Or, like Dream Ball it out maybe or something weird. I don't know. There's some fun options you can do though. Seems pretty cool though. Then we have some new items and tools. Dragon's Potion, healing 60 damage from your active Dragon Pokemon. Seems alright to be honest. Counter Gain, I'm aware that this card is a reprint from the Sun and Moon era, but it's still a very good card to pick up if you don't have one already. Dusk Ball is okay. It's a bit of an odd one really. I know there's some supporters that interact with putting cards in the bottom of your deck, so there's at least some synergy there, but honestly nothing that impressive. Obstructive Letter is kind of cool, but again, I don't know like any immediate deck that would want to play Obstructive Letter. It seems like a control piece, but aside from that, nothing too crazy. Then we have some new psychic types. These honestly seem really cool. Togekiss is a bit scary. It is a stage 2 line that you have to commit to your deck, but if you KO a Pokemon, you get to flip a coin, and if heads, take one more prize card. So, although it is only affecting your opponent's active Pokemon at the very least, and it does not stack, but at the same time, that is an extra prize card in a singleton one prize format. So I could definitely see this card getting a bit brutal. You like swing into some Pokemon with spread damage. You start using Cofagrigus, you take out multiple bench Pokemon, you get Wonder Kiss off on the active, take another prize card. Honestly, it could be quite scary. So yeah, I'm interested to see if Togekiss would ever get banned in GLC, to be honest. But yeah, a bit like Magneton actually. But yeah, I'd be very interested to see if Togekiss survives. But cool cards otherwise. Also like what are they called? The Mythical Lake Pokemon or something, that Uxie, Mesprit, Azelf. I think there may be one more as well. Is there one more? Or am I misremembering? It's been a very long day, by the way. Uxie, Azelf, Mesprit. I feel like there should be a fourth one. This is really annoying me. There's probably not as well, and I'm just like gaslighting myself into believing there is, and there's not, but okay. We're moving on. Cofagrigus, very cool card. Cofagrigus has had its own video. Cofagrigus deck ideas for Surging Sparks, but yeah. Law of the Underworld, put 6 damage counters on each Pokemon in play that has an ability. If you want to build a Psychic Spread deck, here's your first Pokemon for that deck. This is your sign that you want to do it. Also got synergy with the Azelf with Mind Kinesis, so that's cool. Also the Uxie with Painful Memories, so got some cool options here for spread. Also got some new supporters. Drayton is like kind of okay. It's one of these aggressively okay supporters, but if you don't have like sort of Rosa teammates, that kind of thing, you're just getting into GLC. Drayton's definitely not your worst option. Lisa's Appeal is kind of like a very budget Gust option if you don't have Guzma yet. I don't think Guzma's that expensive, but if Guzma's awkward to get a hold of, Lisa's Appeal is not the worst thing in the world. Surfer is also pretty decent actually. If you can't get a hold of like Birdkeeper and you really need it for a deck, then I'd say Surfer is a really good alternative. Or if you don't have a Tate and Liza, I would definitely say Surfer is your next best option to that. So pretty cool supporter, gets a lot of thumbs up for me. Then Drasna is kind of like a more higher risk, high reward version of Professor's Birch, So if you really enjoy those kind of effects, then, Drasna's your girl. Shove your hand to your deck, flip a coin. If heads, draw 8. If tails, draw 3, which could be quite painful, to be honest. But hey, if you flip a coin and you get heads, it's 8 new cards. It's great, but, just don't flip tails, whatever you do. Then lastly, we have the new stadiums. We've got Gravity Mountain and Amphitheater. I can't stand that name. It's such an annoying tongue twister. But yeah, Gravity Mountain, stage 2 Pokemon to play, get minus 30. Bit of a game changer, to be honest. Like, you could sit here all day and list off all the different math this changes for decks. But yeah, a lot of stage 2s are also like getting more and more fragile with each new expansion in GLC, just because of like the crazy damage the Pokemon are putting out. So giving them all minus 30 is a pretty big deal. So yeah, be very careful basically if you're building around stage 2s with Gravity Mountain. We've also got Amphitheater, basic Pokemon to play, get plus 30. Again, there's several decks that kind of favor basic Pokemon. Like, I've noticed there's a lot of like really playable metal type basics and dark type basics that seem pretty good. So another stadium that I think is worth mentioning. So yeah, keep that in mind. But yeah, thank you for watching. Some overall thoughts. I think this is a great set for GLC. Some great options in stadiums. Lightning and Psychic feels slightly favor this set, really. However, some new tech options and creative attackers overall. So yeah, it's been Empower, and yeah, thank you for watching.